Under an hour after the finish of the past film, previous hired gunman John Wick is presently an obvious man and on the disagreement Manhattan. After the unsanctioned killing of wrongdoing ruler and new individual from the high table Santino D'Antonio in the New York City mainland, John is proclaimed excommunicado by his overseers at the high table and set under a $14 million abundance. On the run from professional killers, John arrives at the New York Public Library and recuperates a cross jewelry and a marker emblem from a mystery reserve in a book. He battles his direction through various professional killers populating New York City until he arrives at the chief, a lady from his past who works a theater. She acknowledges the cross as a ticket for safe section to Casablanca, Morocco, and has Wick marked to connote that he has spent every one of his blessings. In the interim, an adjudicator with the high table meets with Winston, the supervisor of the New York City mainland, and the Bowery ruler, the head of an organization of transient professional killers. The adjudicator scolds both for assisting John Wick with killing Santino D'Antonio, and both are given 7 days to surrender their workplaces or face serious outcomes. In Casablanca, John meets Sophia, a previous companion and the chief of the Casablanca mainland. He presents his marker and requests that Sophia honor it by guiding him to the senior, a high-positioning individual from the high table, so he can request to have his abundance postponed. Sophia takes him to a professional killer named Barada, who lets John know that he might find the senior by meandering through the desert until he can't walk anymore. In return for this, Barada requests one of Sophia's canines. When Sophia rejects, he shoots the canine. In counter, Sophia shoots Barada, and the team battle right out of the Kasbah and escape into the desert. Having satisfied her marker, Sophia leaves John in the desert. He wanders until he falls from fatigue, yet is tracked down by the senior's men. John makes sense of his activities, saying he is frantic to live on to acquire the memory of the adoration he once had with his better half. The senior consents to excuse John, yet provided that he kills Winston and keeps on working for the high table until his passing. To show his responsibility, John cuts off his ring finger and gives his wedding band to the senior. In the interim, the adjudicator selects the professional killer Zero and his understudies to implement the desire of the great table. With Zero's assistance, the adjudicator greets the chief and the Bowery ruler. As atonement, both are disfigured. John shows up back in New York City and is sought after by Zero's men. Zero almost kills John before his interest is stopped as they show up at the New York City mainland, under danger of being pronounced excommunicado. Zero uncovers himself as an enthusiast of John's. However, John dismisses his suggestions. John meets with Winston, who urges John not to pass on as an executioner, but rather as a man who cherished and was adored by his better half. The adjudicator shows up. However, Winston won't surrender his office, and John will not kill Winston. As an outcome, the adjudicator deconsecrates the New York City mainland, denying its safeguarded, unbiased ground status. The adjudicator then, at that point, informs Zero and his men and sends 2 busloads of body defensively covered high table implementers as their help. With the assistance of the inn's attendant, Kara, John safeguards the mainland from the implementers. Right away, the shielded masters effectively kill the greater part of the mainland's gatekeepers. However, at that point, John and Sharon figure out how to kill the authorities with reinforcement penetrating shotgun shells. John is then trapped by nothing, and his understudies John losses and kills everything except 2 of the understudies, then lethally wounds Zero. The adjudicator arranges a conference with Winston, who makes sense of the insubordination as a show of solidarity and offers repentance to the high table. John shows up, and when the adjudicator distinguishes him as a danger to the discussion, Winston shoots John over and again, making John tumble off of the mainland's rooftop. The New York City mainland gets back to activity and is reconsecrated. However, the adjudicator illuminates Winston that John's body has vanished and that he stays a danger for the 2 of them. In the meantime, an injured John Wick is conveyed to the vigorously scarred Bowery lord, who tells John he is furious with the high table and will be battling against them. He inquires as to whether he additionally feels annoyed, and John answers with definitely.